Am I wrong for refusing to name my son after his deceased father and telling my mother-in-law if she refuses to respect my wishes then I won't let her see him without supervision? Basically the title. I'm currently 8 months pregnant. My husband passed away due to global issues about a month ago, and I've been absolutely ragged since, and this is kinda my breaking point. Prior to my husband's, Mike's, passing we had agreed on Tom Alexander Jones, all names are fake obviously, as our son's name. Tom we decided on together, Alexander after my husband's grandfather and Jones is my last name. My husband took my last name after marriage by choice as he didn't have the best upbringing and was limited contact with his parents. After he passed I made the decision to add Michael to our son's name, so it is Tom Michael Alexander Jones. This has been a problem with my mother-in-law, who is insisting his first name should be Mike. I have refused for several reasons. 1. The real Mike name is extremely common. 2. It has an unfortunate nickname that got my husband bullied at school. 3. I don't want to feel sad every time I say my son's name. My mother-in-law has flipped her shit over this. D's at my saying no she has proceeded to get a brass nameplate for his crib, multiple blankets and honors, and the letter hanging name all with Michael instead of Tom. This came to a head last weekend when she bought over more Michael blankets and I was having phantom contractions. She told me to toughen up and then said that even if I give my son the first name Tom, she will call him Mike in private. Honestly I was a bit wrong. I was in pain and hadn't slept properly in days. I snapped and told her to get out of my house and that if she was going to call my son Mike in private then I wouldn't allow her to visit him or be around him without supervision. She's now hysterically calling everyone in the family accusing me of being a witch who won't let her see her only grandbaby. She actually has a couple of adopted grandchildren from my sister-in-law, but they don't count as real grandkids to her. I feel like trash. Maybe I should change the name just to keep the peace. Am I just being a hormonal witch? Am I wrong here? Am I wrong for threatening to rehome my roommate's kitten? I, 30 male, do kitten fostering every so often. Which means I'll take in kittens that need medical attention, are too young to be adopted yet, or just need a safe place to be, and take care of them until they can find a home. My roommates both adore cats, and were always on board with it. A couple of months ago, I took in a very sick kitten who was by far the hardest case I ever took. Nobody was sure she'll make it, and it was a long journey, but she recovered. At that point, though, my roommate Scene, 27 male, was quite attached to her, and wanted to adopt her himself. I had quite a bit of doubt, because Scene is not the most mature or responsible person around. But he and my other roommate, 32 female, put quite a bit of pressure on me, blaming me for having no faith in him, which is true, and not giving him even the benefit of doubt, until I caved in. In hindsight, I should have signed him on an adoption contract, but it's probably too late now. I had a few quips with how he handles the kitten so far, but I kept it to myself, and either kept quiet or just took charge of things when it seemed needed. Here's where I might be wrong. Yesterday, we were talking about the kitten again, and he mentioned intending to let her roam outside when she's a little bigger. At first I thought he meant taking her out on a leash, which is something that was brought up before, but no. He literally meant just letting her out unsupervised, which would have been acceptable if we were living on a far more acquired rural area. But we are living near two busy main roads in the middle of a city that's infamous for being particularly hostile towards animals. I explained it to him and told him that letting a cat roam in such a setting is very dangerous and would probably shorten her life by a lot. He insisted that he would do that anyway, because short fun life is better than a long, boring one. I told him that if he ever does that, I'm taking the kitten and rehoming her with someone else. My roommate of course was upset over this, and my other roommate told me it was not my place to dictate what scene does with his cat, especially not threaten to rehome her, and that his heart is in the right place. I honestly don't care if his heart is in the right place. I've seen enough dead cats in the area. I took care of this kitten when they were near death. I refuse to have done all of this just to later collect her corpse from the road or the yard of some animal-hating psycho a few months later due to someone else's negligence. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for revoking my sister's access to my stuff after she took my pencils and destroyed them? I, 20 female, have this hobby of drawing. I'm not very talented, but I do enjoy it lots. Through the years I gathered quite some art supplies. I keep this pencil case with lots of colored pencils which my sister, younger female, can use. Yet I do have sets I told her she's not allowed to use that I keep separately because she has a tendency of destroying stuff, and those are my good and expensive ones. Those ones she can use aren't bad though. I don't buy the cheapest stuff, but I hope you get what I mean. Today I woke up to see my watercolors massacred on her desk. This set is made of pencils whose lead is soluble in water and some other qualities that make them one of my favorite sets. It was a new set, barely used, and now lots of them were broken in two, tips missing and stuff like that made my heart sink. I spent a lot of work to get the money to buy them, and now they were gone. I asked her what happened, and she told me that she has an assignment to do, and it's not right that I have color she doesn't. I told her she should have asked before and not destroy them like that. It also turned up that her assignment was due in 2 weeks, so could have waited for me to wake up, and was a graphite drawing, meaning she needed to use only the usual pencils, not colored ones. So her story was nonsense. I told her that what she did is stealing, and that you can't go and take stuff from people just because you want it. She told me that she can take whatever she wants from me, or otherwise she will ask mom. This isn't the first time she destroys something of mine. My old laptop fell to her hands, and so on and so on. The following dialogue occurred. Until you change your behavior, you're not allowed to use any of my stuff. None of my colors, none of my games from Steam, nothing. Not even to take out my bearded dragon, who you promised to help to take care of, but you shirk each time it's cleaning/feeding time. No, you're mean. And he's mine. And I'll tell mom. He is not yours at all. You haven't spent a cent on him, or his supplies, or ever took care of him. You are just playing with him when it suits you, and I told you to stop picking his tail. It may not drop, but it doesn't mean it's pleasant. I'll consider lifting the ban when you'll change your behavior and care about stuff. Until then, you're stuck with yours. She ran to mom, who told her it's her problem to solve. She then called/texted her friends from school, who are now writing hateful messages on my art page. I couldn't care less about them, and I blocked them, no problem. But I can't help but think that I overreacted, or have been wrong to my C's. I love her, but she needs to understand not everything is for her. Am I wrong for getting angry when a family secret was downplayed in front of my kids? I might be overreacting, because I really don't like my in-laws, but I don't know. My husband and his brother have a set of older half-siblings who are the same age as their mom. His half-brother and his mom fight over everything. Neither of them take it that seriously, so I think it's more sarcasm, but it gets seriously annoying. Also, I try to teach my kids not to name call, and then the two of them go at it right in front of them. Yesterday we went to their house and mother-in-law and brother-in-law were doing it again. My child asked why they hate each other, and mother-in-law just said they don't, but brother-in-law has to add that they used to date, and it ended badly. My older child was super freaked out. I tried to change the subject, but mother-in-law told her that is how she met father-in-law, and then father-in-law interjected that brother-in-law was broke, and she needed a real man. They just laughed, but I could tell my daughter was very uncomfortable, and I think it's gross that he brags about taking his son's girlfriend like that. I've heard him joke about it before. Combined with what a terrible dad he was to his own kids, it just really grossed me out. I yelled at them that they are disgusting, and they aren't doing a much better job as grandparents than they did as parents. I demanded that we leave, and my husband got mad at me for overreacting. I think I told them they were gross once more, and I woke up to a text from mother-in-law about how every family issue we have involves me overreacting, and don't I see the pattern? Am I wrong for choosing to stay with my mom? I'm pre-legal male, living with my mom full-time since November of last year. My parents have been divorced for 10 years now. My dad has been remarried for 9 years and he now has a total of 7 kids. 3, including me, with my mom, of which I'm the oldest, and 4 kids with his new wife. My younger siblings still go to his house and both want to, and feel like they have to. My reason for changing the custody stuff is because I hated being the oldest in a blended family. I was pushed to babysit my younger half siblings and my dad's wife's nieces and nephews sometimes, while they adults were doing other things. Sometimes these were random nieces and nephews, other times it was literal infants who were just born. It was all so much. I didn't get paid. I didn't get anything special. I couldn't say no. I also found it hard, because they live in a 4-bedroom house, and there was a lot of sharing. I was expected to help feed the younger kids and I didn't mind it so much some of the time. But it was always my dad's wife issuing the orders. I know she's my stepmom and a parent in the home, but I don't have any respect for her. I feel like she wanted to use me as a nanny for her. The reason I feel this way is she asked my mom to send me over there at times when it was my mom's parenting time, so I could babysit. Like every other week wasn't enough, she wanted to eat into my time at home as well. She also tried to shame me for liking and spending more time with my full siblings than my half siblings. She said it wasn't fair to treat them different. But the age gap is big, and so I will do different things and it does feel different, because the divorce was hard on me, and I spent years being pissed that my dad would leave my mom for someone else, and have more kids. I was pissed that I was the oldest, and having to look after another woman's kids. I was pissed that I didn't have one home anymore, but one home, and a house I went to. My dad's has never felt like home to me. My dad is hurt I don't spend overnights there anymore. He's actually pretty angry. His wife called me a butthole for jumping ship. They wanted me to spend lockdown with them, and when I said no it created a bigger rift, and he and I haven't talked since. She still asks for babysitting. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for wanting my house back? My 29 female sister, soon to be ex-husband, 28 male, moved in with us 5 months ago because my sister left him for another man and he had nowhere else to go. He gets the kids every weekend and they don't bother me. They are my nephews, but while they are here my brother-in-law does absolutely nothing for them. He literally stays in his room or on the couch all weekend, and I feed them, watch them and clean up after them. We had also let him use one of our cars as his truck was not working, and he used it for free for about 8 months, then left it on the street without paying for the new tags on it. He paid rent maybe 3 months then just stopped. He goes out all the time with his family and friends, but can't pay rent or food here. My husband is fed up with it and wants to kick him out, and quite frankly I do too. We have our own 3 kids, and if we so much as go out on the weekend without taking my nephews, my sister calls me and tells me I'm a witch for not taking her kids along as well. Am I wrong for kicking brother-in-law out? His sister now has space for him, but she is 45 minutes away, and it would be a huge inconvenience for my sister with their custody agreement. Even my mom is calling me saying I should keep him there, because at least we know for a fact the boys are safe. But when did that all become my responsibility? My family, mom, and sister keep making it about the kids, when it's clearly never been about them. I'm just tired of having a lazy person live rent-free in my basement. Would I be wrong If I reported my professor for teaching his class with a serious bias? Okay, maybe it doesn't sound so bad, but hear me out. My criminal justice professor is a cop. Not just a cop, a career cop who has served in precincts around the country and now teaches at the local police academy, in addition to being a professor at my college. This wouldn't be a problem on its own, but in the last few weeks his tone seems to have taken a turn for the worst. In class, he often spends long stretches of time on tangents about his time as a cop, and some of the views he has expressed are concerning to say the least. To name a few. 1. Criminals will always be criminals. They are a lower caliber of human being. He has expressed that criminals are genetically different from us and can't be successful in society, and they do not deserve rights too. He goes on unending rants about how people in prisons have it too good and about how they should be denied healthcare and other rights. He praised one student for saying the sooner they are dead, the better for taxpayers. 3. He is adamant about addiction being a choice and that drug addicts are a burden to society. This is a big term for him, burden to society. Anything he doesn't like will be called this. These are just a few, but this post is already getting too long. He not only teaches this in class, but will give students extra credit points when they agree with him in written discussion posts. He takes points off for things he doesn't agree with on assignments. A question on one of our tests said, "Criminals are born criminals. True or false?" I responded false. That was the wrong answer. I feel like these are dangerous views to be encouraging in young college students, not to mention as students at the police academy that probably get a less watered down version of all this. My parents say I shouldn't intervene, as it could potentially cost him his career at the school. I feel conflicted. Would I be wrong? Info. For those of you saying this is systematic racism, I should mention that the professor in question is black. Doesn't mean he can't be racist, but I feel like his views don't discriminate based on race. His views extend to anyone who commits crime or has a criminal history. Also, those who have said I shouldn't criticize his views just because he's a teacher, I don't think you're understanding the issue. The problem is that he is using grades to reinforce his bias in students and penalizing those who don't agree with him. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and press the like button below.